Hi, I'm John Hoffman, and I am the author of the book, The Emotional Foundations of Loving Relationships, available on Amazon.com. You can find links to all my books by going to my author page in Amazon. Just search on John S. Hoffman, Ph.D., and click on my name next to any of my books. Is establishing and enjoying loving relationships important in your life? It ought to be, as many of your most important needs in life are met only through relationships. The quality of those relationships will depend in part on how well you and your loved one can meet each other's emotional needs, and how well both of you can manage your emotions, especially during times of stress, deprivation, and trial. These skills are not inborn, nor can they be casually acquired. They must be learned just like other important life skills. That is where the emotional foundations of loving relationships can help. This book will raise your emotional awareness and help you take responsibility for your emotions so you can build stable, enduring, loving relationships. Many of us see other people or events as responsible for our emotions. For example, he made me angry. His lack of concern made me depressed. And she went on a junk food binge after she failed the midterm. In other words, we blame other people or other events for our emotions and the actions they provoke. He hit the man because he was angry. She would not speak to him because she felt neglected. When we present a cause and effect relationship between our emotions and our actions, it makes it appear as if our emotions are responsible for our behavior, not us. Even the structure of our language reinforces this faulty causal relationship. He hit the man because he was angry. She would not speak to him because she felt neglected. But doesn't this make sense? Isn't this obvious? It only makes sense because this way of thinking and talking has become ingrained in our culture. A more accurate way of describing these events would be, when he was angry, he chose to hit the man. When she felt neglected, she chose not to speak to him again. The restructuring of these sentences makes it clear that the person experiencing the emotion had a choice in deciding how to deal with their emotions. The truth is, each of us is responsible for how we manage our emotions. That is the essence of emotional responsibility. Because we can choose how we respond to our emotions, we can retrain our automatic emotional response mechanisms, the characteristic ways we react to our emotions without even thinking, to respond in more mature ways. Why should you care about emotional responsibility? When we are emotionally irresponsible, we hurt other people, damage our relationships, and stunt our own emotional growth. For example, how do you feel when you are in the presence of an emotionally toxic person? Society is concerned about the effects of secondhand cigarette smoke on our health. But what about the effects of toxic secondhand emotional smoke on our emotional well-being? To become emotionally responsible, we must also learn to care about the emotional needs of others and how we can fulfill them in responsible ways. In my book, I identify the 20 most important emotional needs that you and your loved ones are seeking to fulfill. These needs are largely met in relationships, making our relationships paramount and truly precious in our lives. I also present the 10 secrets of emotionally fulfilling relationships, which identify the character attributes that naturally draw others to us and fortify our relationships. In another chapter on relationships, I identify the 5 great destroyers of relationships and why you must actively avoid them if you want to have happy, fulfilling, and enduring relationships. In the final section of the book, I answer the question, why are there trials and opposition in my life? And I offer 10 potent weapons for battling the forces of emotional darkness in your life. The emotional foundations of loving relationships contains many other useful features, such as numerous fictional stories that reinforce the concepts being taught, an insightful thoughts to ponder section, and an activities for self-improvement section at the end of every chapter, and a detailed emotional needs self-assessment and emotional stability assessment in the appendix. I hope you will gain many insights by reading my book that will be beneficial to your life and to your relationships. I am confident you will. By the way, who am I? I am an instructional designer by profession. I have a Ph.D. in instructional design and am an expert at presenting critical information in ways that are easy, fun, and interesting to learn. I am the author of several other self-help books available on Amazon. Please subscribe to my channel, John S. Hoffman, Ph.D., on YouTube to learn about other books and videos that I will be releasing in the future. Thanks, and see you next time.